What is up, good people? This is Jay, and welcome to CrypTalk, the UGG podcast show where we talk about the NFT gaming scene. And for this episode, we will be talking about Web3 gaming, cashless transactions, and of course, the Coinbase wallet. Now, joining us for this episode was the CEO of Coins.ph and head of strategy for GoPay and the GoTo Group. He's one of the guys responsible for the launch of eToro's crypto platform in the US and has been investing in trading in crypto since 2013. Coinbase's regional director for Southeast Asia, Hassan Ahmed. Hello, Hassan. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jay. Thank you for the warm welcome and thank you for having me. Very excited.
Yeah, I am very excited. So how's the market treating you lately?
Well, I feel like the market's seen better weeks, but with the amount of building going on, I feel like it's the next sort of turn is any time now.
Right. I agree that a lot of people are going crazy lately with everything that is happening in the market. That's why I think it's very important to make informed decisions, especially when it comes to investment. I'm sure you would agree on that one. Well, earlier we were talking, and you've mentioned that you're also into NFT games. So, what games are you currently playing?
Yeah, well, there's Axie, which is sort of the mainstay. I play myself, and I also run a small guild. So many of my scholars play that too. Recently got into Peg Axie as well. That's sort of the second game that we've picked up. And then I dabble around with some of the newer kind of titles that seem to be interesting, maybe have newer dynamics and mechanics. For me, it's I'm not like I used to be an avid gamer kind of early on and then sort of took a step back. Now my younger brother keeps me abreast of most of the Web2 games, but I'll sort of get into kind of the newer Web3 titles just to see what's going on in the market.
I see. Well, truth be told, I have been using multiple crypto wallets already, and when I saw that PegXC integrated Coinbase in their system, I honestly was surprised because it was actually a good news for me since I already have a Coinbase account. Now, one of the things that I like about Coinbase is the built-in ability to buy and sell crypto, but we'll get more into that later. Now, we know how the popularity of NFT games and crypto boomed in the Philippines, so we're curious about your impressions of the Philippine scene in terms of Web3 gaming.
Yeah, Jay, I'm glad you asked that. So you mentioned that I used to be at the helm for Coins.ph, and that was, I feel like one of the really transformational experiences of my life because I got to really experience kind of crypto at a very grassroots level in the Philippines at that time. And to be honest, I sort of came into it not knowing much about Philippines kind of on day one, and then my team sort of helped me sort of learn more about the cultural context and sort of got into kind of the crypto scene from there. So let me tell you sort of what my bold statement is. And this is what I tell people inside of Coinbase Global as well. I think that Philippines is the most interesting crypto market in the world. And let me tell you why I think that is. Because Philippines today is the only market that has 3 crypto use cases at scale. You have just regular buy and sell and trading, which is sort of everywhere. And then you have blockchain-based remittances, which is much further ahead in the Philippines than it is in most markets. And now you have play to earn as well, which is just spreading like wildfire, which we'll spend a lot of time on. And there is no other market that has adopted crypto or digital assets Web3 in the way that the Filipino community has. And I think we should sort of take a lot of pride in that.
Right. It really did. It really did boomed exponentially, the Philippine NFT scene. Now, aside from being a successful trader as you are, you also have multiple investments in the crypto scene as well. Now, do you have any promising crypto games in mind that you think could potentially make it big in the Philippine market?
Yeah, so maybe I should have also said this up front that anything that I say shouldn't be construed as financial advice and certainly not investment advice. This is, like I said, I think the best way to experience crypto is to use it. And so I, try to kind of keep my ears to the ground and really sort of try out all of these apps as they're coming up to see what's sort of interesting about it, both from a gaming mechanic side of it, as well as the NFT and tokenomics side of it. So, the kind of mainstays, right now that I see across sort of a lot of guilds and just individual gamers are the ones that we touched on already, sort of Axie, Peg Axie, Thetan Arena has sort of done pretty well as well. And then you have like the sort of mid tier of titles that are maybe on alternative layer ones that are kind of starting to come up now. Some of them had maybe their starts already, like League of Kingdoms and stuff that are they're still building, and they're starting to refine their mechanics and user adoption. But in general, what I'm finding overall is that where the market is, it's sort of still taking a lot of its playbook and inspiration from maybe the kind of bootstrapping mechanism that Axie had invented in terms of using sort of a breeding mechanic to kind of get a gaming economy off the ground. And I think what I'm still like looking for is what comes after that, because this is just the beginning of this revolution, and there's obviously a thousand flowers are blooming in this field, and it's only sort of a matter of time till someone kind of knocks on sort of the next evolution of it. So that's the thing that I'm sort of looking out for, and candidly have not found anything as yet.
All right, but you've mentioned that you are in Axie Infinity and the Peg Axie space. Now, knowing that the tokens are dropping, like it's literally dropping right now, and a lot of people are asking the developers what their plans are. Now, given that you have experience in this space, can you give us a glimpse of your thoughts regarding these tokens? Like specifically
Sure.
for Axie and Peg Axie tokens. What do you think the future holds for SLP or VIS?
Sure. Yeah, and again, like I think I sort of take a little bit of an investor sort of view on these things, because again, it's sort of easy to kind of buy and sell as well, and one should sort of look critically at like the design behind these projects to kind of come up at their own conclusions. And I also think that it's a different lens when you're maybe thinking to invest in the NFTs versus like you're earning the kind of native token, because one is a return on financial capital and the other is a return on time capital in a sense. But getting into some of these specifics, people often ask, hey, what is going to be the next Axie? And my point of view is that right now, the way that the market structure stands, I think Axie is still the next Axie. I think they kind of created the 0 to 1 for this industry, got it to scale. Obviously, there's been a few kind of hiccups, especially in the last couple of weeks. But the team has been busy up leveling kind of their core team members. They've obviously done a ton of fundraise. Their treasury at this point is very rich as well. And from the game design perspective, one of the inspirations that I look at is I think that they base it off of is Pokemon. And Pokemon, battle mechanics or card battlers, have had longevity. So I think just that heuristic alone gives you some level of confidence that, the Sky Mavis team will be able to figure out sort of what's next. And obviously Origins, released a kind of great fanfare. And, I think there's a land presentation that's either coming up or just happened as well. So when I see, all these kind of the shipping that's happening and the releases, I think that the engagement, especially for gamers that are wanting to come and play just for the pure entertainment utility of it, I only see that utility function sort of increasing from here on out. Now, the kind of second layer of it, which is the gaming economy itself, right, which is another hard problem. So I think this is one of the things that Web3 game developers have to figure out, which is one hard problem is build a game that people want to play, and then build a gaming economy that's sustainable in an open system, not a kind of closed loop system like the Web 2 games, are two simultaneous hard problems. So kudos to kind of everyone who's moving the space forward. So on the tokenomic side, look, I think the dual token system roughly sort of has made sense for kind of what they're trying to accomplish. I think SLP, definitely, I think there's avenues to kind of increase utility or figure out supply sinks that can like help like get to a certain price floor, let's call it. But I think the way that even the Sky Mavis team has described it is that they really kind of view it as a commodity like oil, right? Like that it's going to be just a kind of pure function of supply and demand. And their goal is to make it to, some kind of reasonable band that it gets to some level of predictability. We're still in the early stages, so we will see, how that plays. And again, I'm assigning a relatively high level of confidence that they will figure that out. I think the governance token, has its own set of mechanics. It's obviously kind of supply capped, which mimetically or otherwise sort of gives a lot of comfort to kind of investors. There were staking mechanisms. Once sort of Ronin launched, there was obviously some incentivized pools that kind of were helping sort of the tokenomic design as well. I think from here, as like again like the their metaverse, as their metaverse sort of increases in function, I think there will be more value to govern along with the treasury itself. So I do think that there is a real purpose to the AXS token as well, which does sort of give it some reason to be, and sort of has a long-term future. So again, like this is sort of just my take on sort of what's going on in their economy and how they're thinking about it in broad strokes. And again, like I think the team's the right team to kind of go and figure this out. I think for Pagaxi and again like some of the others, where I sort of see the trend right now is many of them have picked up on the same breeding mechanic that again like actually sort of cracked the nut on. And I think it's a great way to get like these gaming economies off the ground, because you're bootstrapping the system, right? And you're wanting to get players in an incentivized way. It's not that different from when like Uber or Gojek or Grab was wanting to get users into their system and they were giving out $5 vouchers as user acquisition cost. So you do that, you get to a certain system, a certain point, but then again, after that, it's up to the studio to prove to the community that it has the chops to get that game to the next level. And as many in your community know, there's different types of metas for different types of game design. And so it's okay to kind of pick one template over the other, but you just need to know then what you're going to do with it after that to make the game fun and playable. And I think that's sort of what the community is looking for next.
Right. I'm sure you have answered a lot of our viewers' questions, especially the Axie and PegAxie players that are watching right now. Well, we've already mentioned the growth of crypto in the Philippines, but do you think the Philippines is the new crypto hub?
So my answer to that is yes, but I think there's some way to go before Philippines can realize its unfulfilled potential. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is I see a lot of things that like Philippines as a market has gotten right. So the first, really just being kind of a sort of shout out to the Central Bank of the Philippines, which early on sort of recognized that it wanted to kind of balance investor and consumer protection and financial access. And so by creating both sort of an e-money regime as well as a virtual currency exchange regime as early as 2017, which is, in crypto, it's like light years before, right? And so that, gave a chance for the local industry to get off the ground, do right by its sort of investors and buyers, and, get like consumers comfortable with the notion of, digital assets and digital currency. So today, we have a flourishing ecosystem. People are able to easily kind of top up via, whether it's 7-Eleven or Gcash or Paymaya or Coins, and get sort of, fiat into the system. And then through play to earn, they're able to kind of, use the same mechanic to kind of cash out as well. So I think those are like the regulatory side and the demand side are probably much more advanced than like other markets that I see within Southeast Asia and beyond. I think what Philippines sort of needs to do next is to encourage the builders to come into the ecosystem as well. So for Web3 gaming, as sort of a sector, I'd say that Vietnam probably is the sort of the hotbed of developer activity. It has a great tech scene, like the Philippines, sort of a young population. But generally, like, they've been building a sort of gaming before as well and have transitioned to Web3 gaming pretty seamlessly. I think Philippines, because they have the demand side already, I think it would be a shame for this opportunity to kind of let slip through the fingers. I think more encouragement and incentives for just core engineering courses for Solidity, hands-on training by either local projects to bring more kind of developers and builders into the ecosystem, and then fusing that with sort of any kind of gaming talent. We could just have this sort of flywheel, within the ecosystem that like really makes the Philippines somewhat like indomitable, especially in this space.
Right. Now, you've seen success in the space multiple times now, and we've already established that. But as of the moment, what are your current goals in setting up the crypto market in the Philippines?
Yeah, so for Coinbase, like our mission is to increase economic freedom in the world. And so, we were sort of a US, first company, and we've been trying to change that in terms of becoming more international and just sort of global in our thinking. And so some of these kind of very key regions and markets, like Southeast Asia, we actually had a big launch event in India last week. These are really areas that we desire to have just more presence in, because we believe that we've come up with a set of sort of tools and products that can really help everyday consumers and users sort of get access and empowerment for the things that they want to do. So within Southeast Asia, again, Philippines is a very important market for us, and we are looking at ways to introduce both our regulated platform, which is our fiat on-ramp, as well as our Web3 products like Coinbase Wallet. And we're exploring the gamut of options, including collaborations and sort of partnerships to be able to increase our awareness on the ground.
Future looks bright with you guys in the Philippines, but of course we know that success isn't going to happen overnight, right? So what are the challenges you guys foresee in the Philippines in terms of establishing the crypto scene?
Yeah, I think that the overall challenge for the industry, which is the sort of the flip side of the opportunity, is that it's, despite all the hype and despite the fact, you and I sort of live and breathe this stuff every day, so it might just seem like everyone's sort of already in there. But when you zoom out and you sort of look at the total usage statistics, globally, I think we're still somewhere between 300 to 500 million users overall. In the Philippines, I'd probably, when I started at Coins back in sort of late 2019, 2020, I'd say Philippines was probably about 6 million users. It's probably double now to 12 when you include all the play to earn gamers. Indonesia, for example, 270 million users, about 150 million e-money users, and only 11 million crypto users at the moment. So for most of these markets, we're still very, very early. And so the point is to make it as easy as possible for users to kind of onboard onto crypto using sort of a kind of a fiat on-ramp, and then kind of start their journey once they're comfortable. And then within that, the other option that we're wanting to make more available is on the Coinbase.com platform, we will custody your assets for you if that's what you want. And then on Coinbase Wallet, it's self-custodial, so you custody your assets yourself. So we just want to provide those options as well for users for depending on what kind of path they want to go down on. And obviously with Coinbase Wallet, because it's self-custodied, you can then interact with decentralized applications as well, like games and DeFi and whatnot, which is of course how you will eventually get utility out of Web3.
Right. Now, speaking of challenges, even with the popularity of crypto, there are still a lot of people who are hesitant to go cashless, right? So can you tell us the benefits of these cashless options and how it could have a positive effect in their lives?
Sure. I think overall, cash at the end of the day is just sort of, a manifestation or a one instantiation of, what we consider, as money and value and sort of stored value. As digital wallets and e-money have kind of swept through the region, I think more and more consumers have gotten more comfortable, with the notion that, hey, if my hard-earned money is sitting in a digital wallet, even if it's custodied by a bank, it's sort of there for me to access. Historically, there have been certain reasons why, people didn't want that. They were maybe sort of less trusting of fintechs that maybe hadn't scaled up yet. But again, through a very pragmatic licensing regime, consumers have gotten comfortable that they can enjoy the same protections almost as maybe they do with regulated financial institutions. Mm-hmm. And in Philippines now, out of roughly the 110 million population, there's about 60 million wallets now. May not be one for one, but let's say it's close, right? So that's more than half the population that is comfortable with the idea of digital wallets. So to me, the heuristic of going from cash to digital wallets and then digital wallets to digital currency makes a lot of sense, because that's sort of the next iteration of it. Now, in terms of the use cases, there is a little bit of a difference, right? Because Web3, sort of the blockchain stack is just sort of a technology layer, right? So you can build payments on it, you can build trading on it, you can build remittances on it, you can build commerce on it, and so on and so forth. So I think over time, as the surface area of use cases increases, it will also provide just more value for different types of consumers so that they will kind of want to use those applications themselves. And then eventually, we will stop even talking about the fact that there's a blockchain sort of running under it, because it will be just as native as the internet itself.
Right, I'm sure we'll get there soon. I'm sure the time is about to come. Well, going back to Coinbase, what makes Coinbase's platform unique from others?
Yeah, we're very proud of what we've built up over time, right? It's we're one of the few kind of scaled up kind of global platforms in crypto. We're obviously listed on Nasdaq as well at this point, so we're very well capitalized. We're ready for any kind of crypto cool down for however long that comes to. So we have that longevity. We strive to be the most trusted and easiest to use platform across all of crypto. And so we are very product led in our approach. And if you go on Coinbase.com or Coinbase Wallet, you'll see that we've put in a lot of thought around design and just making it very easy and accessible to sort of the average user that may or may not know anything about crypto or blockchain, but maybe there's some kind of financial benefit that they're wanting to avail themselves of. The other thing I would point out is that Coinbase is also an ecosystem of products and platforms. So we started out with the classic sort of buy sell, then we sort of spun up our exchange as well. But if you look at like the full suite of products we have today, we also offer things like the Coinbase card. We have native staking within our app as well. And we've also started integrating more sort of Coinbase.com and Coinbase Wallet as well over time. So once you sign up with Coinbase, you sort of get access to a lot of different products that you can also just do one kind of login into, and it'll show you all of your kind of asset balances and all of your tracking across the different products, so you don't have to go through kind of individual logins for every single service.
Right. All right. So we've talked about some of its features. Now, in terms of service, how different is your approach compared to other platforms out there?
Yeah, so I'll start with maybe talking about Coinbase Wallet first. So at Coinbase Wallet, as I mentioned, we've taken a lot of time, especially over the last year, to kind of really increase the depth of our feature set, as well as kind of maintaining that like simplicity for like average users as they onboard. So today we offer Coinbase Wallet across Android, iOS, as well as a Chrome extension, so that users can download it wherever, so that they do their kind of crypto activity. Within Coinbase Wallet, once you get started, one of the interesting things on onboarding that a lot of users were asking for is we've provided options for backup for the seed phrase. So this is one of the biggest complaints and kind of sources of friction of balancing between kind of security and UX is users have to create their own seed phrase, and this is how you self-custody. But a lot of times, like users, they might have misplaced it, or they don't know like where it went, and you don't want to lose access to those funds, right? So we've even given them options of being able to kind of back up to their Google Drive if that's what they want to do. And we've done it in a way that it's sort of still safe and secure. But it's because you don't have to if you don't want to, and you want to keep it secure on a piece of paper. But for other users, we've seen a lot of uptake on something like that as well. Within the interface, what we've also done is we've unified balances across layer 1s and layer 2s. So we got a lot of feedback that, hey, it's really, really hard to figure out like what's on ETH versus versus Matic versus like Optimistic and Metis and Phantom and so on. The list goes on, right? And so we kind of really did some design work, and we've kind of pulled that in a way that it's sort of visual and very easy to understand, like what your total balance is, and then where each of those assets live. Like even if you have ETH on it mainnet versus Polygon, it'll show up in that way, so you can also recognize it. The second important feature we've shipped is that we are also supporting Solana on Chrome extension now. And this is a really big deal because obviously there's a lot of activity happening on Solana right now. We're all eagerly waiting for Star Atlas and other kind of gaming titles to come up. NFTs are taking off there, and obviously gas is very cheap. And before, users were having to download a Solana specific wallet while keeping their kind of EVM compatible wallet on separately. But now we've just kind of unified that experience. So you can just go across to Solana as easily. And we are working on supporting other non-EVM compatible chains in the future as well.
Wow, so I think that's a lot of features for that wallet.
Yeah. So those are some kind of highlights that we're quite proud of.
I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of users soon. Well, I just want to ask, have you ever been to the Philippines?
So the funny thing is, I have not, because when I joined Coins, it was in the midst of the pandemic. So everything was on lockdown. I show up on day one virtually, and sort of it's, this team that I'm really just starting to get to know. Most of them were in and around Manila. Some of them were remote first before anyway. But somehow we made it work. And now I have a lot of friends from my time there that I would love to see in person. So we're planning a trip this year. So hopefully it'll happen soon.
Oh yeah, you should definitely hit us up because we will have you try our delicacies here in the Philippines. It'll be amazing, man. You'll have the time of your life. I guarantee you that.
Well, I will be sure to get your WhatsApp then.
Sure thing. And thank you so much. And that is it for us for this episode of CrypTalk. Of course, thank you everyone for tuning in. And we'd also like to thank our guest, Hassan Ahmed, for being with us in this episode. Now, Hassan, would you like to invite them to your socials? Or maybe you guys are cooking more awesome stuff that we can look forward to in the future?
Yes, please follow at Coinbase Wallet for the latest updates for Coinbase Wallet. My personal handle is Hassan_NY. So would love to kind of continue the conversation on Twitter, or you have my Discord handle. So, feel free to kind of hit me up here as well. We'd love to make life much easier for play to earn gamers. We know you guys are kind of grinding hard and hopefully enjoying at the same time. Would love to kind of see you be able to start saving some of your kind of earnings away and help you sort of put in kind of native staking, so you're making those assets productive for yourselves. Jay, I don't know if I mentioned, but I run a small guild myself. Most of my followers are Filipino, so I have a great time with them, and we talk about this stuff a lot. And so I'm also helping them with just general like financial literacy as well, right? So as they're kind of earning SLP, just thinking about like what percentage or what portion should like they put into kind of USDC, for example, and stake it versus kind of cash out for their day-to-day expenses. So that's, I think, also just one of the more important kind of philosophical things of educating and empowerment that I'm hoping that Play to Earn is sort of the start of, but becomes sort of much wider from that, so we can all like achieve our goals and dreams.
Right. Well said. And thank you so much for helping other Filipinos earn and make their own move or own lives, create their own lives in the crypto scene. All right, well, to our viewers, you can catch our previous episodes on our official United Gamers Guild website at unitedgamers.gg, and you may also follow us on our official Facebook page at facebook.com/United Gamers Guild, or on Twitter at UGG Network. And you can also join our official Discord server and become a part of our ever-growing family. Well, again, thank you so much, Hassan, for being with us, and thank you, good people, for watching. This is your host, Jay Perillo, and we'll see you on the next episode of CrypTalk.